I'm a bit of a techno twat, yeah, so I got that one wrong. I wasn't even videoing myself. But we'll start again. Go into a bit more detail about what I saw on that painting. Because I'm clairvoyant and I'm into runestones and all sorts of stuff, there's 3 shields above the painting. Now if you look at closely, in the frame of one of those shields, I think it's the far right one, Savor's Royal Dimitri, as you would say, you're looking at number 10, Nied, an X, and 13, which is a Z. And this says, need Utri. Okay, but it's in left-handed, so it's backwards. But that is Da Vinci all over, alright? He's left-handed, so it's Utri Nied, or Eoth Nied, in runestones. So if you look at the frames, if you're there, you'll see a couple of little scratches. Now I need to come to Italy to have a look at it up close, to see why I need a yew tree. Now I believe the yew tree is in the Vatican where Da Vinci stayed, because he had his own little rooms. They built him his own little bridge so he could come and go with his own little door. And there's a yew tree on the wall that he painted every day. He added to it every single day. I need to look at that tree up close to understand what that means. And then there also might be some Hebrew in the painting. So I need a lot of information, because I think Da Vinci knew a lot of things, and he was clearly, he's left marks, he's left like loads of clues for everybody, which is fine. And the only reason I've worked out is because, like I say, I'm into all the clairvoyant stuff. So I've recognised the fact that he's been using runestones and other divination methods like I Ching, tarot cards. And I've got it all because I collected the mind, body and spirit stuff, which is what this is from. And it took me 3 years to collect 5 files of this information. And in that information is a lot of information. So, you know, normal historians or normal artists, you wouldn't see the marks as I do, or a clairvoyant would. You need to be psychic to understand that Da Vinci was psychic, and he knew all these divination methods. Now, the other thing that I noticed was, and I'll show you this copy of the painting from a book. Don't worry about that. See, now if you look in the Da Vinci film, you get a really clear view of the painting in one scene when Tom Hanks goes to the millionaire's house, right? And when they zoom up to it, pause it. Yeah, if you've got Sky, pause the film, or on a DVD, just pause it, right on that painting. Now in this column, on the right hand side, oh it's left side, but to me it's right, you'll see there's a wooden chalice carved in the pillar, or painted into it, and I think that's the Holy Grail. So all of this is pointing, you see, to the Holy Grail, which is to do with King Arthur in Caledonia, which is why I think it's related to the Rosslyn Chapel. It's related to the Templars. And the Templars ended up going to Scotland for refuge because loads of them were being illegally executed, and they were all arrested on Friday the 13th, which is why that's a myth of being unlucky. I was born on Friday the 13th, and I don't think it's unlucky at all. So if we all look at the film, and we all look above the first apostle's head, and have a good look, you'll find the Holy Grail. It's a little wooden chalice. Now these pillars are outward. This whole painting is an optical illusion. You cannot have sunlight on one wall but have a ceiling. So this wall over here is pointing to another place. This wall points to 3 different places. The black recesses, if you look at the film Cleopatra, with Elizabeth Taylor in it, in the final scenes where she commits suicide with the asp, look behind her and you'll see 3 dark recesses in the wall. So I think, even though you can't find a tomb, I believe that I can. So I think this painting is telling me that I need to go to Cleopatra's tomb because of the black bits. I need to go to the Rosslyn Chapel and follow the Templars. I need to go see these bits at the back that don't match because that's a little Spanish church. I need to go all over the world to have a look at everything. And if you notice on this side, now Da Vinci was an absolute perfectionist. So why would the markings on this wall be higher than the markings on that wall? Now the markings on this wall, they're not recesses, that's tapestry. Rugs. Could be Persian rugs, could be Indian rugs. I'm not sure. But all of this, if you take the whole painting apart, 5 sides of it, and a mathematician will understand what I mean, and you look at Da Vinci's dodecahedron drawing, or the drawing he did of the 3D shape, you pull that apart and you apply it to the painting, you'll see what I've seen. See these rafters in the top? When I was investigating Rose and Fred West, I saw that these rafters were the top of a cellar. So this is not a room, this is a cellar. So their last meal as a family was down in a cellar, and they were under knife point because they were about to execute quite a few of them and crucify them the next day. This is the Last Supper of Jesus of Nazareth, right? And I also don't agree with people accusing Mary of having an affair with the Christian God, because that would be adultery. You know, she just wouldn't do that. So, but I also believe, and I've marked the page as well, this picture, now this is supposed to be Philippe in the Last Supper. Now if you look at Philippe closely, you'll notice that Philippe is a woman. There's more than one female at that table. Now I think the one in the pale robes, the plain white robes, that's Jesus. I think that this was either Mary's parents or his. And I also think that this is the last meal because you've got Jesus, Philippe possibly as Mary, yeah? A mum and a dad, and possibly another female across here. Now there's more than 13 people at this table. I've counted 14. If you look very, very closely, you'll feel that knife, that dagger hand, yeah, that nobody can explain. Neither can I can't find him. Right? All I can find is a hand, and it's impossible to hold a knife like that. Almost impossible. Right, so but you can see that if you count all the place settings, you'll find that there's 3 people in this painting that didn't sit at the table. But there's a couple of them that are very, very threatening postures. So I believe, you see, that they are Romans, and they were holding these Hebrews captive while they had the last family meal before some of them were crucified. And Judas didn't hand Jesus over for 20 silver coins. Judas was Jesus' twin brother. Right, Red Dwarf is correct. Yeah? So, there's several things in this painting, and what I've done is I've counted the silver plates, all the bread, and somebody's claimed that there's no glasses on the table. You're wrong. There's several glasses on the table and a jug. Okay, do you need to go to Specsavers? But you know, in detail, there's a lot in that painting, and Da Vinci left clues. Now that's enough about that one. Oh, the other thing I need to ask is if Pembroke and Basil, and they know who they are, if they can turn up and put all of this information into a nice book for me, I'd appreciate it. They get first out. So, and hello to Bob. Hi Bob. Now what else do we need to say? Let's see. Oh yeah, the other thing you all need to know is the Vikings had trade routes all around the world a couple of thousands of years ago. I've got an ancient map book. And it's supposed to be classified. I think I stole it from a library when I was a kid. Alright? So, anyway, I looked through it. I found all the Viking trade routes. And you need to put the Lindisfarne Viking Gospels back. Alright? It was a Vikings' little island. It was given to them by the Celts as their little resting place. Now, if you look on the front of the Viking Gospels, you'll see stones from all around the world. There's jade on it, turquoise on it. The Vikings went everywhere. And they knew the safest routes to go. And that's how all the ancient tribes traded. It's as simple as that. You see, now when these Romans turned up and smashed everything apart, all the ancient tribes hid loads of stuff. They hid all of that information. So the Romans could not get next to the next people. Because they never got up near the Norsemen, the Vikings. They didn't even know they existed. They didn't even know that they were travelling around the world. We hid a lot of things. They didn't get to China for centuries. Loads of Celts disappeared to Gaul, which is Europe. And, hang on, I was going to make another point there. But the Viking ships, we'll go back to the Viking ships. Did you know that behind Babbie Ring, which is in Dorset, there is a Viking ship buried inland? And it's got a forest all over it now. Now the National Trust won't touch it because it's a monumental treasure. But it's behind ancient earthworks. So that means that the Vikings must have been here and they left a boat. And then if you look for stone circles all around the world, like Stonehenge, yeah, you'll find loads up north. And the Vikings built loads of stone circles, they're everywhere. But they also built a Viking ship in stones. Now I think that's important, and I need to go all over the world. So, my plan to do that is to do this. You see, now, very important point here, so I've got everybody's attention. If we look at the Nazis in World War II, and you can look at this up on the internet quite easily, look for the scientific basis. The scientists that were Nazis, right, because they had their own bases to work on. And there's one picture that caught my eye a lot. They had UFOs in 1942, right? Now these UFOs, when you find this picture of a Nazi scientist and what they built or possibly stole from the Russians, is a UFO that you would get from Area 51. So all these people that think they've been abducted in America, you've possibly not been abducted by aliens. It's possibly Nazis with this technology from World War II, because when the Americans got there, some of the Americans didn't execute or put into prison all of these Nazis. They actually took the Nazi scientists back to America and gave them a job at NASA, right? And this is how I think the technology's got to America. So if you've been abducted by what you think is aliens, I believe you've been abducted, yeah. I believe you've been abused, yeah. And so should everybody else. But I don't think it's aliens. I think it's Nazis, and I think they're coming from Area 51 or 52, whatever you call it. So I just had to tell you that, which is why I'm making this whole video, so that all of you victims understand that I don't think you're crazy. I'm not crazy, but I've got an explanation for you for what you've been through. And hopefully millions of people will hear this, and you'll get proper help and assistance. So when you say you've been abused, physically harmed, probed, and you've got flash memories of whoever it is sticking things in your body, you are now going to be believed, because somebody did hurt you. But I can prove who's doing it. Now I'm probably going to get slaughtered for this, but whatever, you know, that's fine. Let's see, where else do we need to go? Oh, more detail, yeah. And just in case you thought I was lying about the map of America, this is a map of what the Native Americans called it. My son is 1/4 Jabway tribe from the border of Canada, and he found it on the internet. This is a Jabway symbol, and this is what you should all be calling yourselves. Okay? And what else is there? Let's see. in more detail. Right, see now what I found is a mathematical pattern in the bread, the plates, in the painting. And when you look at the bread, it's a small roll, a big roll, a small roll. But when you actually go and write it down, it makes a musical pattern. It all translates mathematically into like a hopscotch, like a dice pattern, which is why I've got the dice in it. But I believe that the Nazis were wearing the dices on their collars because they stole some psychic information from somewhere, because they stole everybody's, the Romans did, you know, and pretended it was theirs. But the dices, we need to find out the point of origin from the dices to understand and translate the divination method, and that's why I think those dice are. That's somebody that's a clairvoyant or a psychic that would roll those dice like a set of tarot cards. And what else? Let's see. Yeah, I need the family meal, the scene. You'll see it's more like a watercolour, but it's an exact mirror image of the Last Supper. So what I would ask you to do is look at the family meal, the scene, look at the Last Supper and see if you can find that floating hand with the dagger in it. Spot the difference. And that's how we'll start. So, what else do we need to know? Let's see. Now, I've got these 3 books with me in case there's any astrological markings or any psychic markings. And I also need to look at all the stones, the point of origin of everything. I did a lot of work when I was in my home, but it's in storage right now. But I also need Da Vinci's tarot set. Now he made one, or somebody did. If you can get the tarot cards and get a few pieces of information together, we can make a book. Okay? And don't forget that the Nazis were also arresting a lot of Roman gypsies. A lot of those children, the Hebrews and the gypsies, they were all being experimented on brutally. It's not science to take a human body apart to see if the twin will die. It's not science to attack clairvoyants or psychics to see if they will die. Somebody is claiming that this is a psychic experiment on me through an earpiece I've got no knowledge of, and his name is claimed to be Andy Scott. Now, if you've got any contact with that man who's claiming to be an Andy Scott, because there's loads of them in the world, it could be anybody, this is not a psychic experiment. I am not agreeing with whoever Andy Scott is, or any of his mates. And everything I've thought, like about copper scrolls, there's a few documentaries, you see, that I've gone through details of in the privacy of my home that somehow ended up on TV. Now, either Andy Scott stole them from me, and you are innocent, or you stole them with him. So, you know, which is it? Anyone? What else? Let me see. Oh yeah, Hitler, I'm the one that realised logically, because there was no Goldie, his best dog, that had his own bunker. There was no body of Goldie, Blondie, a golden retriever, right? So if Hitler killed himself, the dog would be dead. Now the dog had gone. I'm the woman that logically worked out that Hitler clearly escaped, and then it's on TV. Right? I'm the woman that logically worked out that Cleopatra's palace was hidden under a river. And then it's on TV. I'm the one that's working out all of the Bible stuff, yeah? But that's not on TV. Oh yeah, the other important fact you need to know, if you look at the Roman Caesar or Emperor Augustus, I think it's in the 5th century, you can find it on the internet, there's a document about one of the emperors. But if you look underneath the name, you'll see Reich 1. Now the Nazis in 1940, whatever it was apparently the Third Reich. They're Romans, these Nazis, and I've tracked them. So, you know, there's a few famous things that I've gone over logically, like Marilyn Monroe's death, right? You're claiming that she took too many drugs, was an alcoholic, apparently she put an opium suppository in herself and then took a bath. Did anybody check to see if there was opium traces under her nails to prove that she'd done it? Do you know how hard it is to put a suppository in somebody without getting it on your hands? Right, JFK as well. He's made a few documentaries changing the story over and over again, yeah? You need to check how old that road sign is before you declare it as a bullet hole, right? Lee Harvey Oswald did not do that. Couldn't have. And loads of people have proved it. It's impossible to fire a rifle like that quickly. It's impossible. But I think it was a triangulated method. I think there's 3 shooters. And I'm not going to believe that the special services that were on his protection unit, that were all hung over that day, gave a loaded weapon to somebody that hadn't trained to shoot because he's left-handed. How he was holding it in his right hand and fired it, I don't know. But I don't think it was him. But however, you have identified the weapon and the ammunition that blew JFK's head apart. So how many of those rifles are in America at the time? How many of them were available? You need to go through all the serial numbers, you need to go through all that ammunition, and you need to pinpoint where they all were legally to find the one that isn't. Now there's a stray bullet, what they call the magic bullet, that went through JFK, a seat, somebody else's knee, bounced up and hit the driver, right? Nah, that's impossible. There's 3 shooters. If you think there's 3 shooters, 1 with that heavy caliber, 2 with prone rifles, there's also a bullet mark on the road, and it's just when they get to the 2 red post boxes, right, that everything kicks off. Now if those snipers or assassins had sat there the night before and aimed at those red boxes in the middle of the road, that's what we call warming the barrel up and sighting in, because I've been the Dorset County Captain, the ladies County Captain of Dorset, 2-2 rifle. So I do know what I'm talking about. And what these assassins need to do, like with Trump, right, they need to get a position point to get that bullet in. Now they took a few pot shots at him and they missed him, but they got his ear. But it just proves that somebody on a roof at that distance can get a few shots off before you find them. So these people are still about, whoever's assassinating all of you. So what you need, in my logical opinion, right, when you go up to make speeches and talk to the people and do your thing, you need bulletproof glass in front of you. Because it's see-through, everybody can still see you. So if you can all get bulletproof glass in front of those stages, make movable panels, you know, there is a way to stop these people from killing everyone. But, you know, I'm sure Mr. Trump will appreciate this little message that you need bulletproof glass. You do exactly what you say on the tin. And there ain't no messing with you, is there? No. So that's fine. You're fine with me. I didn't mean to have a go at all you rich people. I was just pointing out that from the poor people's side, you know, you've got so much, you could share some of it, didn't you, really? That's all I meant by do better. I didn't mean to have a go, I'm sorry. Or find channels of doing that, like fill up the food banks. You know, charity starts at home. And I'm pretty sure that if everybody cooperates with each other and we all put little bits in, it'll work. Being the richest man on the planet doesn't get you very far when you go to heaven. You can't take it with you. What you can take is kindness and good deeds. So, you know, it's more of a plea, really, than anything. And if anyone thinks they've heard me somehow and my little ideas about stopping wars and stopping deaths and everything, hello, I'm the crazy little woman, yeah. So, you know, a few more points is, let me think about it. Oh yeah, the Irish lady. I liked her videos. I watched several of them and I thought she talked so well, and everybody attended her funeral. And you know who I mean, I'm not very good with names. But she was making a valid point, and it wasn't about what she was talking about. When she went near cold cases, near paedophiles, she got shot. And it was tried to cover up, look, she got smashed in the head by a brick, but they found the bullet. So if you're going to come near the cold cases, and you're going to smash into these paedophiles, you need to be careful. I'm smashing into pedos, and I'm careful. Let me see, what else is there? Oh yeah, loads of assassinations to do with all the royals all through the centuries. The White Plague, the Black Plague. And don't forget that London, they all had to drink alcohol for months because the water source had been interfered with. So whoever these Roman Nazis are, they will start a plague like COVID just to try and distract us all and worry us all if we get too close. So when you look at COVID, and I believe that scientists or anthropologists, whatever it is, so it goes from bats to a mammal, then to humans. Now I think I found a dead deer in the New Forest, and I think it was covered in something and it smelled awful. It was not normal. It made me ill for about 36 hours, and the whole place, the New Forest in Dorset, was ill. All the horses were ill, all the animals were ill, all the people weren't themselves. But as soon as the rangers got rid of the deer that I found, it all picked up. Even the plants die with this stuff, and I think we found a source of COVID in the New Forest, and it would just permeate in the air off of a mammal, and then people would catch it, and then we spread it to each other. So, you know, over the last couple of years, I found lots of things. I just walked into them accidentally, but I've made a lot of people better. So it's one of those things. I'm just sharing what I know, so that you know, if you know, you know I'm real. All right, this is not Andy Scott's psychic experiment. This is not Andy Scott's imagination. I'm a real woman, And I really have done quite a lot of stuff. And I've tried to keep people alive. But that's all I'm going to say. So, good night, because it is midnight and everything, and I need to have a drink and a smoke. But, alright, see you later.